Hey to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, ChiroThin, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Winner's Edge, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 194 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Ronen Mendi, and if you want to hear an international perspective from Israel, stay tuned. All right, so today's a very special episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We have international chiropractor coming in from Israel, Dr. Ronen Mendi. This is episode 194 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And before we get into your chiropractic story, we just want to really thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, mutual.
And I don't want to tell too much of your story. I'd like you to share that, but you've been practicing 22 years and you came over and went to college at Parker College, and Jim Parker was still alive, right?
Correct, yes.
What was it like being around Jim Parker?
He was quite an inspiration, and it was his kind of his last days. He passed away about 2 months before my graduation, so he was a little tired at the end. And more than philosophy, we learned it was very scientific based at the time. So, but it was perfect for me because I came from a medical background. Before I became a chiropractor, I was a paramedic and a combat paramedic and airvac paramedic, and then a RT and a radiation technician. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of grew in the medical thinking. And it was very easy for me to get into chiropractic from the scientific part. And later on, I learned how much more we can do.
Yeah, I know before we started the interview, we were talking a bit about how you integrated into hospitals, but let's talk a little bit how your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor. I know you had a very traumatic experience, and that led you to doing great work.
So actually, about a week before I turned 13 years old, my mother wanted to take me to a holiday vacation. And on the way there, we had a very, very bad car accident. And I flew out of the car that rolled around. And I lost my consciousness for 10 days. And the MDs, I saw the record, so they wrote that maybe a clinical death. And as I say it, from that time, I knew that I don't like what the medics say. So I had to change, so I decided to stay alive. And then, they decided that I'm going to be invalid from the waist down, and there's nothing they can do because my condition is so hard. They cannot operate, and I did not respond to any medication. So about a year and a half later, I don't know how many second opinions I received, a medical doctor referred me to a chiropractor. The funny thing, I saw so many specialists that I didn't want to see another one. But I went anyway because I knew I did not want to be able to tell myself that there was something that I did not try. And I went to this chiropractor, and he's the first doctor that saw me, and he said, I can see where the problem is. And then he started adjusting me, and like my headaches disappear, my back pain disappear, and I really felt like the power get back into my feet, into my legs. And then 3 thoughts crossed my mind. One is, wow, you can heal with the hands. 2, I received my life back as a present. And 3, I want to give this present to others. So at the age of 14, chiropractic chose me.
What a story.
Yeah.
And then you went on to get into the medical profession before chiropractic. Did you always have chiropractic in the back of your mind?
It was, but like, because actually most of the people in Israel didn't know when I said the word chiropractic, nobody knew what I'm talking about. And when I said healing with the hands, they really thought I'm nuts. So I went to close a profession. So I became a paramedic, a combat paramedic, and then an airflow paramedic, and then a paramedic officer, and then after the army, I went and I studied my BA was in RT, radiation technology, and I did pretty well with that. But then I got to the hospital and I started to suggest better ways of how to get the health back to people, not only to treat the symptoms. And so some of the MDs didn't like the way I think. And again, so it took me about 2 years of working in the hospital, and then I realized, well, I have to go and pursue my dream, even though I had to leave Israel and come to the US because I liked very much what I did in the army. But I went and did it, and I registered to Parker, and thankfully graduated there.
So let me ask you, as you went through the course of becoming in the medical profession and you were working in the hospital, what was it like for you to actually interact with you said the MDs gave you a little bit of a pushback, but after you became familiar with them, did you find it easier for you to co-manage cases with them and for them to say, go see this guy, he can help you without drugs or surgery?
Well, this was not the way they sent me patients when they could not help them. They realized that everything that they do not work. And then they send them to me, and for most of them, I could help. And actually, when I was still in Parker, when you finish I finished the internship pretty fast. Very difficult cases came my way. So, I had I finished it in about 4 months. So I had 8 months to think what I'm going to do after school. And so I thought that chiropractic helps those patients that medicine cannot help. Very bad definition. Very bad definition. But I saw such hard cases that I could help. So I started to ask questions. And this is what brought me to see how patients who liked the results started bringing their families. And then I realized that the big vision of chiropractic is actually, even though all the patients that I see first come to see me because they have bad symptoms, but the vision is to take care of healthy people and to keep them healthy. So they will not things will not get worse, and actually it will improve. And I think of the vision of how, if we take care of families and take care of babies and children, they will grow healthy. And then, in my vision, the world will be a lot more productive. And so the way that I imagine my patient is that I want them to get to the point where they will give to the world their best. And if we take care of everybody, and just like I think 8 million, or in the world 8 milliard, people will give their best, like I can't imagine how good the world will be.
So what are some things that make you different from other chiropractors in your area?
So, so first that I think of the big vision, not just helping the sick and suffering, even though they are the only ones who get to the clinic. Basically, at the beginning, people get because they are suffering, and because they tried everything before they come to chiropractic. Very few come because somebody else told them to go, because most try everything that they know. But having the vision, I think, of the healthy world and healthy families, and that's part of what I created in my office, is that I offer programs of membership to individual and for families. And I should tell you that I don't have a lot of families, but I do have some. And like today, I have one family who comes to me once a week, and they drive about two hours back and forth to get adjusted and back. And they already do it for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. And it's amazing because it's a lady, a religious lady with 6 or 7 children. And the big thing is, like, if it's family, I don't really care how much people I adjust. I have the family program, and so it makes it easier for them to pay, because at the end, people need to pay for the service they get. And if it's too much, they will not be able to pay for it.
Well, cool thing is, Dr. Ronen, is a lot of people that watch the work that Luke and I do, they know that I worked in a clinic for 6 years as a tech. So I have some background in knowing treatment protocols and background knowing about x-rays and rehab. And, one of the things that I think is so important that what you're doing and what you're talking about is taking these difficult cases, is chiropractors are known to save lives. And from your origin story, it sounds like the chiropractic saved your life. And then you got these challenged cases from the MDs, and now you're saving more people's lives. And now you're to the point where what you sounds like you like to do is practice a wellness style model for your practice, and to get people, from the point of being in infirmary and diseased and hurt, you keep people healthy long term. There's a saying that I've picked up on, is it's easier to make healthy children than to fix broken adults. And I think that that's something that more people need to start thinking about. Chiropractic saving lives. We make healthy children rather than fixing broken adults. And, the other part that I think is important to discuss is, a family that gets adjusted together stays together. And when I worked in the clinic, I would say this all the time, that a couple that gets adjusted together stays together, because we get a lot of husband and wives into the practice, because we'd have a weekly talk. Whenever somebody came in as a new patient, they would bring in their significant other, and they would go through the orientation and learn why they were there. And I think that's a big part of what you're doing, is you're taking you of one of 120 chiropractors in Israel, and you're educating people now on a platform where they know it's not about just the sick of the sick, it's about the healthy staying more healthy. And that's where we, I believe, can make a huge difference going forward with this profession and with the modeling of healthcare around the world. And that's one of the cool things about interviewing you, coming from international perspective, and learning how you got your practice to start going, and how you're thinking about the future, and why it's so important to take care of people, even if they don't have headaches or TMJ or sciatica or asthma or whatever the lack of vibrational frequency may be. It sounds like to me that that's a practice that you're really falling in love with, and you love providing that membership style to your community.
Sure. And actually, what I love to tell patients, because usually at the beginning they tell me how much they suffer, and then after 1, 2, 3 adjustment, I tell them, and when we help you with this problem, I want you to go and study chiropractic. And not many do. It's difficult going from Israel because we don't have a chiropractic school in Israel. So in order to study it, people should go to the US or to Europe. And it's not easy, but anyway, I try to encourage them to do so.
Yeah, it's cool to hear your story. Thank you.
So, do you have any mantras or quotes that you live by?
There are many things, but it's so much that we can help the connection between the brain and body, and this way the body. We were talking a lot in the past about the power that made the body heals the body. It's a good quote, but I don't like it because what I would like to do is to make the body function properly. When it will function properly, healing is just part of it. There's a lot more that the body can do, that the innate power can do, that we will not be able to describe at any time. We see such a small percentage of the science, and this is what kind of almost aggravates me, that I don't really understand. When we do the adjustment, we don't really know what the body does, but the body does the right work. It doesn't matter if we can understand it or not. And part of what I do is that I play with the word. So when I say, if we say about adjustment, so I like to break it to add a little, just a little, and most of it is by the meaning, because we mean to help, then the body gets the help and start to do the work by itself. And and if we are talking about the subluxation, so it's sub, less than, lux is life, and Asian is a condition. So it's a condition of less life. And all we need to add just a little for the body to take over and do the right job. And the funny thing is that we get a lot of the credit, but we don't deserve it. I mean, it's important. It's very important what we do. The adjustment is very important, but actually, the one that does the work is the body, is the innate power. So, and it reduces a lot of the stress, because when I adjust, I don't really care, even though it sounds bad, but I don't really care how the body is going to react, because the body is going to go through whatever it needs. And I see, since I take care of many difficult cases, it frustrates some of the people. And some of the people are telling me, well, you know what? Since it did not help me so far, I think I will quit, especially at this time. Now, all this corona crap really broke the confidence of people. And a lot of people, even though they come, they are not willing to commit to themselves to do the long way, the long road back to health. They want a quick fix. And like today, I had a new patient, very nice lady, 28 years old, with autoimmune disease. Very, very bad. She has many inflammation in her brain, and she has it's like the Crohn symptoms. It's not Crohn. The MD is told her it's not Crohn, but it's Crohn symptoms. So she's in a very bad shape. And what I do is usually I take them in the first visit. I do an examination, which is mostly questioning them and then examining their spine. And I explain to her what we need to do. And I told her, you know what? In your case, we need to go a long road. And she said, but I'm doing all this stuff and I spend so much money on the biologic medication that she receives. Biologic medication cost a lot. And I told her, well, I understand what you're saying. I understand that you are in a very bad position. But if we will not start to reactivate your body, you are going to get more deeper and deeper into this illness. The medication, great, they will help you. You feel how they help you a little, but they suck all the energy out of your body, and you can't do anything else. So things are going, you are already, like for, 6-8 years, you are already in the road down, and you feel how you're able to do less and less. Let's start to go in the other direction. And she said, well, it makes so much sense, and I really like what you're saying, but I have to think about it. And I said, okay, it's fine. I'm glad that I helped you to start rethinking your way. And basically, then I asked them to come to the second visit. Now, in Israel, we have a problem because we cannot take x-rays like you can in the US. So everything that I do is just explaining the chiropractic thought. And in the second visit, I prepare, there's a special kind of booklet that explains, in general about chiropractic, but then with the table that we have on each one of the vertebrae. So like, C1, headaches, migraines, C2, and then when I mark it to them, and I give them, you see, those are the vertebrae that I feel are subluxated. And when they see how it coincides with their complaints, then for most people, the coins kind of drop. And so I'm looking forward. So far, she did not want to take, many of the people, when they hear my understanding, they already take the program, the membership on the first visit. But she didn't. It's okay. So I'm going to see her the next time. And then when I come prepared with the written booklet that is marked, so it looks to them like I did a lot of work, and it's really hints to their problems, but it makes them understand that there is some logic in logic in the madness. And in my eyes, chiropractic provides, and just hold yourself for this word, it's called a stereometric, it's like mathematic understanding of the relation between the structure of the spine and the function. And so when I look at x-rays or MRI, it's very nice because I can, in my mind, I see a vertebra and I think of the functioning. And when you can relate it to them, it's a lot easier, for them to understand their body, because most of us forgot how to listen to our bodies.
I'm going to just, add on top of what you're saying so we can, have it presented from both sides. And the way that I see it is the way that you see it. And that's the body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. And that's old school philosophy. And when you start removing the interference from the vertebral column, that means the body's going back into that, what in the classical medical terminology is homeostasis. And that's the balance of health. And that's the hard part for people that have been indoctrinated into a medicine style dogma that the pill, potion, or lotion is going to be the cure-all, or that we're going to cut it out or burn it out type mentality. And I think that most people trust somebody to dig into their body, and they trust them to put them on some type of a pharmaceutical regimen before they'll trust somebody to educate them on how the natural law of the body works. And, people have resistance to something like chiropractic because it's so misunderstood to them, because the chiropractic profession hasn't been able to really brand or market properly over the years. And people are very skeptical when it comes to taking advice, even though they know that you're a doctor. They come into you with their deep-rooted condition like autoimmune disease, and they say, well, how's chiropractic going to help me with this? Well, when your body is in alignment, your body is able to, as you said, it has a chance to regenerate, and it has a chance to make healthy cells instead of these sick cells. And that's really what people that watch what we do, we get a chance to talk to so many brilliant minds in the chiropractic profession, but you're talking about a specific case, and you have to present it to them. It's like you have to say, this is what's going on. This is the correlation to the dysfunction. This is why you have a disease. And it's not your body that's diseased, it's your nervous system that can't function properly. And if your nervous system was functioning properly, your immune system would function properly, and it would be able to create healthy cells. But there's something going on in the biomechanics of your spine that are preventing your nervous system from functioning properly. And I think that conversation, what you're saying, makes sense to somebody, but then you have them on the fence saying, let me think about that. You know what I used to tell people when I'd go out and do screenings for people? How long have you thought about that, number one? And have you tried anything else up to this point that's actually helped you? Well, you should probably think about what I have to offer to you, because what we do actually helps people. And, that you have nothing to lose but your health. And that's a Dave Major line. So, when you think about like the educated mind, when it comes to like, offering something to somebody that is skeptical, but then offering something to somebody to say, well, what do you have to lose? You're already in this pit. You're already in this mess. I'm here to offer you a solution. And that's really, people look for the medical arena as a solution. But the medical arena is just I'm not against medicine. Trust me. I think if, there's crisis care, heck yeah, take care of that person. But for long-term health results, you have to have trusted practitioners that help with the mind, body, and soul. And that's a chiropractor.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Chiro Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Winner's Edge, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
And this is why I never bash the medical profession or the medical doctors. And I think that in diagnosis, they are much better than we are. But this is where it's very good, because once they have the diagnosis, basically what they have is they try to take care or to reduce the symptoms, but they don't know how to strengthen back the body. And this is what I'm talking, if we are talking about like diabetes, if we are talking about heart disease. Like, okay, so they found out that you have diabetes type 1, type 2, whatever, or this heart disease or that heart disease, but how are they going to strengthen the heart so you will get over it? Because if you don't strengthen the heart and you are getting relied on the medication, then your body is not going to learn to remember how to produce all those chemicals. It gets it from the outside. It doesn't have to work for it. Our body, even if we look at ourselves, we are pretty lazy machines. So our body, if it gets the chemical from the outside, why should it produce it? So the more you take the medication, the more you get into the problem. And when I tell people what I want is to reduce the stress of the nerves that go to your, I forgot the island of Langerhans, I think the spleen, or to the heart, then we are going to be able, the body always has the power to renew itself. You can be 95 years old and we can help you. Not because we do anything special. Actually, part of my the big vision is that we should take care, even though it's great to take care of babies, but the vision is actually to take care of the older people, give them respect, respect them, remind them that we believe in them, because most of society don't believe in them, and actually when you pass the age of 60, 65, 70, most people don't care too much about you. Sorry, I'm getting close to this age. But so I say, let's take care of you because you have a spine, you were born with a spine, and the spine is going to carry you to your last day. So let's work on your spine, enable it to move. And actually, you mentioned before the homeostasis, and I speak about homeodynamic. And the reason is, like, pardon me if I get too much into technicalities, but I love technicalities. The body is also a dynamic in motion, and things change. The temperature outside change. The temperature inside changes. If you are running, your body works different than when you are walking, different than when you are sleeping, and you have to adapt all the time to the dynamic, to the changes in life. And that's what we want. If the vertebrae move, if your body is in motion, your spine is in motion, so you can adapt. If not, you get to your body cannot adapt as good, and then it starts to work on automatically, and then it starts to break down, because automatically, if your body works automatically and you begin to run, you will not have enough air, your heartbeat will not go as fast as it should, and you will not have the power to run for more than, 5-10 meters. So, and after you stop running, your body needs to relax. And this is the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. And actually, we give much more attention to the sympathetic system, but the parasympathetic is what is being injured. It stopped relaxing your body as good as it could. And we are in a very stressful situation. Our life is very stressful. You have stress, you have political stress, you have safety stress, you have financial stress, you have health stress. So in stress, your sympathetic system works a lot harder, and your parasympathetic is kind of being pushed to the side. And until the body gets tired, and then it does not have the parasympathetic system to defend it. And so, I love to think about all these equations, and it just, I need mathematical explanation kind of to almost do anything. And I know that I love it, and also patients love it. When you can give them a good explanation, it doesn't need to be sophisticated. They don't need to know all this vocabulary, very sophisticated vocabulary that we say, the whatever cities. Although the names of the disease, they don't really care. They learn to say the words without really understanding what it means. Because the doctor said so, and I want to other people to think that I'm knowledgeable when they hear me speak. I say, forget about all this stuff. Let's talk about what the meaning of these words. Like if you have, the analgesia, or okay, so let's do work. So it's pain, or you feel less what happens in your body. That's all it is. So if you understand the meaning of the Latin words, and it's very easy. What they say in Latin, it's what you feel, the way you describe the symptoms in Hebrew, in English. So let's think of what caused it. And it's like what they take, the explanation take you about 1 or 2 minutes, and then all you need to do is go to the adjusting room, to the adjustatorium, adjust them, and mostly immediately they feel better or they feel less stressed. And that's what we want, to rebuild their power to go and function as they should.
So earlier you said that in your country you can't x-ray people in a chiropractic office. Can you maybe explain some other differences of what it's like over there versus over here?
So first, many of the people don't really understand why we are being called doctors, because they expect us to give medication and they expect us to give whatever, all the medical treatments. Also, MDs feel a little bit uncomfortable because how come you're a doctor? And I tell them, you know what, when I speak, because I have medical doctors as patients, and sometimes I refer patients to medical doctors, and I tell them because my specialty is in the motion, the movement of the spine. And that's what I learned the 7 years, how to move the spine better. Like I'm not trying to compete, because you are much better than me in diagnosis, and you are much better than me in giving them the medication, and you know all the chemistry much better than I do. But what I help is to move the bones, move the vertebrae that are related, because many times when you have a patient, again with the diabetes, they also have pain between the shoulder blades in the lower part. And I can help them with this pain, because when I remove the pressure of the vertebra, of the spinal cord, of the nerves, the body will function better. And then we can cooperate. And actually, I need you to take care, because you are such a great doctor with what you do. And that way it makes it easier for them. It's easy for them to accept it, because they see when I speak that mostly we speak on the same educated level as they are. We are not, I don't think that we are better, we are different. But as something different, we can cooperate. And we should think of the patients. And actually, you know, when I was in internship, since I had such a difficult cases, and I was able, from reading the x-rays and the lab work, so I was able to see things kind of ahead of when they were very minor deviations. And I sent patient to second opinion of MDs. Like I had one patient who didn't have control of her bowel and urination. And I sent her to the MD, and my staff doctor told me, oh, it's very dangerous, because once you send the patients to the MDs, they will take the patient over and they will say that they will do a better job. And actually, I received a letter back from that MD, like, how come I diagnosed the problem in such an early stage in which he doesn't have what to do with it? He said, so meanwhile, take care of the patient, try to keep them as much out of symptoms as you can, but just remember, when it will get bad enough, remember to send them back to me. Cool. And it was once with this patient, and another time with a patient that was after a heart attack, and another two patients who had multiple sclerosis. And so, but again, because of my background, I desire to be able to, to do all the X-ray and all this stuff in Israel. But since we cannot do it, I go back and I learn. I read a lot of chiropractic books, and I read a lot, because even in chiropractic until 1920, 1930, most of the chiropractors did not use X-ray. We didn't have this even in the US until then. It was discovered by 1895, the same year as chiropractic. But BJ started to speak about the great use that we can do with X-rays only in the 1928, I think it was. So And chiropractic, in X-rays, we are more looking for pathologies. But if we think about the alignment of the spine and what we can do without diagnosis, this or that, then we can do a lot more. And not a lot more. Actually, X-ray is it's an amazing tool to show the patient before and after. And not only to show the patient, we need it actually to really base the scientific part of chiropractic. But when I cannot use it, so I have to rely on back positioning X-rays that they do in hospitals. But still, even in those X-rays, there's a lot that can be found. Or not X-rays, they come with MRIs. MRIs are actually even better. And I speak to them of so many times I see like we see kind of a torque in the spine, that the spine is torqued. And I tell them, you see, that's where you have the problem. And I tell them, you remember how when we were kids, we had this stuff that we do like burning with the hands? This is what's happening to your spine now. And it's the easy explanation that it's easy for patient to get. And then I tell them, even if we work with you and when you have reduced symptoms, the thing is, once you have reduced symptoms, the MDs will not like to send you to another X-ray or to another, especially not another MRI and not another CT. So we will not be able to show you how well you are, but just think of what we can do, what you can do when your body functions better.
So where do you see chiropractic going in the next 20 years?
That's a good question, but I hope that people will be able to understand, to explain it better, and people actually want better health. They don't want to take care of. When we think of when people go to MDs, usually it's after they tried everything that they can without MDs before they go. And usually they need to. So I want chiropractic to be able to take care of more people, and that people will demand to keep on being healthy, to keep on being productive. Like I imagine, if they're in the vicinity of my office, and I hope in other chiropractors' offices, we'll be able to raise the health level, we'll be able to raise the functionality level, and if a lot of the people will be able to go every day to work and not worry about what will happen if they will get up with a crunched back, with headaches, with spasm in the neck. And that's where I hope it will get. And I hope that we'll take care more and more of children and babies. Like I take care of many babies because my specialty, my life brought me to take care of autistic children. And it's amazing how much with very gentle touch in the skull, those children develop amazingly. And it's not really something that I do or that we do. It's what their body does after we remove the interference, as you said it there earlier. We just need to remove the interference. We just need to believe in them for them to re-believe in themselves and to grow.
Dr. Ronen, I tell people this as well, is that you are not your symptoms. I tell people that you're meant to be healthy and that your body is experiencing something that needs to have some attention, and that you are not what they tell you are. That's just a word. But I tell them that you're born to be healthy, not born to be sick. And you should go in and see our chiropractor and get the exam, get the consultation, I tell them you can talk to our doctor about anything under the sun when it comes to your health. And they're going to pay attention to you and they're going to give you some recommendations. And if it's something that you want to go forward with, now you've met the doctor of the future and they're going to be able to help you. But if you think that you have all the answers and you are your symptoms, you're never going to get out of your own mind with what you think that you are. But I know you as your name. You know yourself as your symptom. You are not your symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I explain that.
So true.
So tell us some of your favorite ways to get new patients in your door.
That's like, I do a lot of stuff and nothing that I do really works for me. But on the other hand, I see a lot of people get to me. Like I see every week, I see about 7 to 9 new patients. And I really, when I try to work it out and to understand how they came to me, most of them is word of mouth. Somebody told them, and they can't even recall who it was. But I also I have a Facebook page that I love to write about chiropractic. I have a business Facebook page that actually somebody else is working on it. I have a Facebook group that is called Ask the Chiropractor because I love to answer questions. I have a weekly radio show. Today, I have every Saturday evening from 11 to 12 p.m. I have my radio show. And today called me a lady that has finished, she's a massage therapist, and she just finished her osteopathic education. And she said, and I started speaking to her, like, what are we going to talk about? And she said that she majored in how therapists need to be careful because their patients are trying to get sexual relation from them. And I said, really? Like, I had no clue. I never heard about it. and I said, but she says that many of the therapists, this is what they are feeling, is that people want them to do extra sexual work. And she said that she's so active in it that she worked in the government to make a law against those people. And he said, we need to speak about it. This is something that we really need to talk about because I know that like some ladies come to me with very difficult women illnesses, like vaginitis, like I forgot all the difficult names, but it's like women who cannot do sexual activity because it's so painful. And I adjust them, and they get better. And I never thought, about anything that beyond our doctor-patient relationship. Like, it's obvious that what we need, we came here for one reason. We want to help the patients. And I never had any patient that did anything that sounded like, but maybe I'm very closed-minded and I think very simply. I'm not looking for all the weird stuff. But I think if you put it the right way, like I'm 22 years in practice, I never had anything like that. So, but once I heard it from her, I said, great, let's talk about it. Let's make people aware of it. And this is what, it is so nice because we can bring, I called my show, it's called back, like, so sort of on the other hand, in the back way, conversation about health and chiropractic. So the field is huge, and with this we can cover so many areas. And I love when to bring patients in, and to bring interviewees in, like therapists, and to talk to them. And all of them have some kind of a pain. And I tell them, if you have this pain, like when you do when you ask them about to tell the story, so they sit in front of the radio. We have it's a show because people can see it on Facebook, and they describe the pain, and I tell them, and I do the palpation of the spine, and yes, I can feel it here. Do you feel it? And then, all the stories. Yes, how did you know you touched the exact point? And you do the small adjustment, and then they say, wow, what a relief. And you see, when people are surprised, not because you told them to say something, so other people hear it. And so this is the radio show I love the most.
So what kind of things do you like to do for fun when you're not adjusting people in the office?
So the only thing that I do outside of the office is to go and be with my family, but most of my day is in the office. And most of it is I have my hours, very specific hours. I don't work a lot of hours, but during this time, patients are coming without appointments because my adjusting time usually, today someone called me. Actually, he brought his father. His father was in an amazing pain, like I never seen anything like it. And I adjusted him one time, and when I told him about the program that I recommend to him, he said, no, I cannot think of anything beyond this moment. I'm in such pain, I'm not willing to go for the 3 months, 6 months that you recommended. So I called him and I told him, I have a very good friend of mine. He's a pain specialist. He's an MD. Why don't you go to him? And he might be able to help you, and I'll be happy to help you later. But first, we need to get you out of the pain. Okay. And he said, no, I'm not going to anyone else. And then a few hours later, his son called me. And he said, well, my father is in such pain and he could not, but let's sign him up for 3 months. And I said, great, I gave up on this patient. I was sure I'm not going to see him again. And now his son and daughter convinced him to start taking care because anyway, he's already in this pain for 6-7 months. All the MDs promise him this thing and that thing, and nobody really helps him. And I told him, we need to go. Your vertebra is out of alignment. You feel how much stress you have in your spine. Let's go, but we need to go the way. It's not going to be resolved in 1 time or two times. And that's what they say. At least someone is telling us the truth. You are not trying to promise us things that later on we found out that you did not, your word doesn't close what you said.
What you're saying, Dr. Ronen, is what we've been talking about for so long, is that there's a brain-body connection. And when the vertebrae is out of alignment, it's not sending signals to the damn brain. So people aren't going to think rationally. They're irrational. And they're irrational with their emotions at that point. And they're under stress of the nervous system. And they're under stress of decision making. And they're under relational stress. So when somebody's having this pushback of, I don't want what you're telling me, no, they don't want anything. It's not personal. It's not the chiropractic profession at that point. They don't want anybody. Like if you told them, go see the dentist, they'd be like, no, I don't want to see the dentist. Like if you said, hey, go buy some healthy groceries. No, I don't want to buy healthy groceries. Like it wouldn't matter what you're telling somebody as a recommendation. Like, hey, go to sleep for 8 hours tonight. No, I don't want to sleep 8 hours tonight. Like they would have an aversion from anything that you would recommend to them because there's not a brain-body connection when the vertebrae's been out for so long. The pain and symptomatology is on such a cycle that rationality is not first nature anymore. It's not something that somebody's like, oh, wow, maybe I should listen to somebody that's a trained professional. No, like, oh, maybe I'll fix my car on my own too. I think that maybe I'll fix my own tooth, but they never get to it. And then the condition progresses and progresses and progresses. And before they know it, they're not going to ever listen to anybody, including themselves, because they've never been used to taking advice because they don't trust themselves. So,
So true.
I think we're at the conversation is, it's not about us, it's about them. And it's not about the MD being right or wrong. We're all right, but we have to give ourselves permission to take good advice. And that's where we come to terms with having discernment and having somebody as a resource like yourself that said, you know what, these people come to me when I'm not even open. Like, and then you want me to save you? How about you show up when I have open hours, and then we can have this conversation on my terms. And by the way, I'll be here when I don't have hours as well.
So do you have a website people can visit if they want to learn more about you?
Actually, yes, but it's in Hebrew. So if you want to look up your Hebrew, this is the place. It's www.dr-ronen.co.il. And because we are in Israel, not in the US. But it's like, amazingly, people are also getting to me from all over the world. And chiropractor tell me, my patient is going to be in Israel in such and such time. Will you be able to see them? And I of course love to refer to other chiropractors. Even in Israel, like people telling me that they come from far away, they cannot, it's hard for them to get to where I am. I said, great, there's a chiropractor here and there, just go and see them. And if not, I'm always here for you.
Well, next time, I've never been to Israel, but when the international travel opens up again, I'd love to come by and get one of your special adjustments.
Absolutely. And it's so much fun. And it's like, and usually, as you know, all we need is this one adjustment or two adjustments, and that's all. And I'll see you next time.
Well, Dr. Ronen, this has been a fun chat, but unfortunately we're out of time for this episode. But I want to thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. You're doing such a wonderful work.
Yeah, we love what we do, and we love you as well. And I look forward to our next opportunity to connect, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.